Hi there. I'm here to talk to you again about those surprising trends in 2024 for leaders, for leadership, and for human resources. Last time we talked about those four major trends: hybrid work, AI, of course, upskilling, and retention. Retention issues expected in the latter part of 2024. So today we're going to kick off that series. We're going to focus specifically on hybrid work today and those best practices around it. Now, these best practices especially apply to remote work as well, and of course, even on-site work. But what I am saying is, if you are doing hybrid work and remote work, this is especially critical, especially necessary for you to follow these best practices, and they're ideal even if you are doing on-site work. So the number one first best practices of hybrid work, remote work, is centering your organizational strategy with intention, And what do I mean by that? I mean, do not just copy what other organizations are doing. Well, Google is doing this, so I guess I need to do that. No, what you need to do is assess your organization, know your organization from the perspective of the outputs that you're doing, your customers, the way that your teams work, what the culture is, what enables the culture, what stands in the way of the culture. You need to know these things about your organization in order to have an effective workplace strategy. So first and foremost, center your strategy with intention. Do the people need great collaboration? Do certain teams need to work independently and be able to focus? Is there a strong discipline within your organization? Is there a lack of accountability within your organization? All of these are going to make an impact of what is going to be appropriate for your organization to do. So number one, again, is center around intention. Number two is to create a culture, if you're going to be remote, of transparency and directness. And the reason why this is so important is because when we are in person, there are so many cues we can pick up from each other. There are so many times to hear the message again and again. When you're working remotely or in a hybrid fashion with less face-to-face work, there are fewer cues. And so that means transparency is going to be extremely important. Direct communication is going to be very important to keep people on the same page and to keep yourselves aligned with each other and what needs to be done. And secondly, very similar to that point, or thirdly rather, very similar to the last point, is to over communicate. I know we get tired of saying the same things over and over again, and the communication experts have found that we need to repeat a message 7 times in order for it to be absorbed and learned. And I would say, if you're doing hybrid and remote work, repeat that message 10 times to ensure that it's being absorbed and learned, because those opportunities at the water cooler and the cafeteria just are not going to be there. So it's very important for you to over communicate. Thirdly, cultural awareness is even more important, because the very beautiful thing about hybrid work or remote environments is that you are able to find the best and brightest stars all over the globe. There's literally zero limitation to where you can find that amazing talent. With that comes different cultures, diversity, and diversity is an absolutely beautiful thing, but diversity also is a skill set. So you want to ensure that you are educating yourselves and educating your teams to be aware of those different cultures. If you're in the US, how do people work differently in LATAM or in EMEA? You want to understand that they do work differently, that their cultures are different. They have different values and customs, and being able to appreciate and value that. So that cultural awareness is a very important piece of hybrid and remote work. And lastly, very importantly, I hope you're doing this even if you're on site 5 days a week, ensure that you have really strong, tight performance objectives. The reason why this is so important is because we hear a lot of times that people say, well, if people work from home, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're getting done. If you have tight performance objectives, worry about the objectives. Are they meeting the KPIs? Are they meeting the goals? That is what is most important. And that is most important whether they are in person or if they are working from home. This is going to be essential, because even if they're in person and you don't have tight goals, they could be doing work that is not useful, not as high value for the organization. So those are those important 5 best practices for you to keep in mind when you are doing hybrid and remote work. And I would argue these are 5 best practices regardless of what your workplace strategy is. Have a great day.